Welcome to Friendly Argument with Andrew Bernard and Jeremy Jones.
Let's do this.
New stuff,
All the tangents.
some politics, booze,
Some more politics.
stuff about Kansas, and lots of cheer scenes.
Friendly Argument is a podcast showcasing conversations that seek common ground across the aisle of American politics, as well as a few laughs. We hope you guys enjoy, and thanks for watching.
Go ahead. Yeah. Welcome to Friendly Argument with Andrew Bernard and Jeremy Jones.
Hello.
It's a show where we were friends before,
Friends during
and friends after.
Cheers.
Well, I'm sorry, Stephen Carlson. I'm going to have to inform you that I cannot talk right now.
These are those behind the scenes extras. All the
Those little things where we say, "Hey, random friend who I've just talked to on a podcast that may or may not be seen by millions and millions of people in the future."
Yeah, it's every time it buzzes, it just slides right down.
All right, we're going to use your cocaine.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. That's what they're there for.
Missed your call because it was. Ooh.
Something interesting is happening.
Yes. I've already said his name, but
we can start up again here.
yeah, we should probably start up again. So
Start now, Laura.
no. Welcome to
Friendly Argument
with Andrew Bernard and Jeremy Jones.
Friends before, friends
Friends
during,
friends after.
Cheers.
So the world is terrible.
Well, America at least.
So I should caveat before we get into this. You did send me the link. I only had time to glance at it, and I saw there were some articles I thought would be apropos to this discussion.
Yeah.
That I also did not get a chance to dig into overly well.
It's okay. It's okay. So we will paraphrase as we usually do.
Mm-hmm.
Today's topic, and you can start the timer, shootings.
Boom.
Mass shootings in the United States over the past 10 days. We've had two mass shootings, one in Georgia killing 6 of them, Asian American women, all women, I believe. And then Boulder, Colorado, yesterday.
10 as well?
10.
I want to say 10.
Yeah, 10. I think it was 8 in Georgia, 10 in
Colorado.
Colorado.
Yeah.
In the grocery store. Super. King Super. I don't know. But
it's like Vaughn's.
Check.
Actually, it's probably closer to Smart and Final.
Check. So, I think everybody will know. I mean, we've kind of touched on this. You know, we kind of touched on this recently. So, to restate our positions.
Well, so I think we would both agree mass shootings are bad.
Mass shootings are
bad.
bad.
We could probably go so far as to say shooting people is bad in general.
To be avoided.
So I think maybe where the area of disagreement will probably come down on is how to prevent mass shootings or how to prevent senseless shootings in the future.
Right.
Like where did we go wrong? Probably where did we go wrong and how do we fix it in the future? Right. So let's see if I can do this succinctly. Or do you want to start?
I can. Okay. The beginning and end of the story, as far as myself personally and the the liberal zeitgeist, is access. Full stop. No major industrialized democracy country has the access to guns that the United States has, and no industrialized democracy in the world has the mass shootings that we do. And the other countries have the same amount of fill in the blank, mental illness, extremists, you name it. We're not exceptional in any way except for the access to guns that we have based on, sort of old beliefs before we had automatic weapons. I think there was even they just saw a headline today. There was a judge in Colorado, in that area, in Boulder, Colorado, less than 2 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago. Did you see this?
I saw something about
that. He actually
the NRA had said something.
They had a chance to knock down, make it very restricted to have an assault rifle, the type of gun that was used in the Boulder shooting, and I believe in the Georgia shooting. Most of the mass shootings in the United States are assault rifles, which I believe AR-15 specifically. I don't know enough about guns to know if that's a specific type of assault rifle, but it's not.
Can I? Well,
Yeah, please.
So before we get too far into it, it's probably good to define our terms. So, and there's not actually a clear definition of what an assault rifle is. Like generally, most people think when they think assault rifle equals big scary gun, right? But there's not actually a definition of what an assault rifle is. So an AR is I forget what the A stands for, but it's like, I think, and that the R is like Robert or something like that. It's like a company name. It's not necessarily, or it's a specification name. I forget which, but it's not like an AR doesn't stand for assault rifle. It's a very specific thing. So there's not really.
Yeah, like an AK-47, AK is the gentleman's initials.
It's like Alexander Kalashnikov.
Yeah, something like Russian, and 47 was the year that it was made or patented, or
it was I think it might have been
47
the type.
Yeah. Oh, like Heinz 57.
Yeah, it might have been the 47. It looks like a World War II era gun, so it might have been a 47. Actually, no, it's
might be before that.
I guess it could be. It has kind of that general like World War II Korean War feel. It's also built really, really well. So, I mean, there's a reason why it's like the preferred gun of crappy places to live.
Yeah, I remember.
It's really
it can still fire even after with like mud in it and stuff. So
yeah,
that's the beginning and the end of my knowledge on guns. But yeah, so America, some common sense gun laws that the vast majority of people agree with in the United States. 84%, based on the numbers that I saw today, are pro background checks for all gun ownership nationwide. And why not?
Can you define your common sense gun laws? Just so that way we're speaking, because we're being less nebulous in what we're speaking about.
So as far as gun laws that I think should be in place, I think definitely the background checks, definitely fully regulated license. I think a time before you purchase, I don't know what they call that, like a 5-day waiting period or cooling down period. Yeah, something like that. I don't know if 3 days, 5 days, 7 days, whatever. I'm fine with it. You can make bullets cost $100 a piece. I'm pretty wide open.
Well, so if I understand, so to make sure I understand what you're saying that basically the reason we have more mass shootings is because of our basic gun culture and the fact that there's widespread access to guns.
I would reverse that order in like primary and secondary, but yes.
So wait, we have widespread access,
and then a gun culture based on that. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. And that putting in place background checks and possibly making, I guess, the barriers to entry a little more significant would reduce the amount of mass shootings that we have.
Yeah.
That's what I've stated.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So here's the thing. I guess I want to caveat any shooting is, as we said up top, any shooting is a tragedy. I don't think that. So like my understanding is that we've had an average of 7 mass shootings a year for the last like 30 years or 10 years or something like that, which is a lot. But statistically speaking, in a country of 350 million is not like a lot. It's a statistically irrelevant number. It is. We have more minor shootings in the country, which might be more of an issue to talk about. And
minor age?
No,
minor
like less than mass shootings. So three or fewer people.
minor
shootings. We have significantly more minor shootings in the U.S. and most of the shootings occur in places that have heavy amounts of gun control already. So Chicago, California, New York. There was a few in Texas recently.
Population centers.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is like those places already have highly restrictive gun places, whereas places that generally don't have as many mass shootings. Finally, well, maybe not finally, I have a problem with I don't think the issue is access so much as it is not taking care of mental health issues, not having a significant amount of police force, and I'm trying to, there's another point I want to make, but I'm trying to make sure that I come at it in a way that makes sense. I have troubles with saying that we can't have access to guns because there are people who will be victimized if they don't have access to guns. So an example being an abused spouse is in fear of their life. They go to buy a gun. There are instances where they haven't been allowed to buy the gun and were murdered several hours later. So
would that be a statistically significant?
I don't know that would be statistically significant, but again, we're talking policy issues here. And so like which of the two bad things do we have? And unfortunately, my argument comes from we will never know how many things were prevented because people had guns, because it's the negative. It's the argument from negative. So it's like, it's a harder position to defend statistics, like pure numbers wise.
Well, it's also a harder position to poke holes at.
Yeah, I mean, yes, it is, which is why it's like, it's not the most satisfactory argument.
So, go ahead.
Finally, I guess I would say there are a lot of the laws that people generally tend to talk about after mass shootings would either not have stopped that particular instance or were already in place. So like background checks are already a thing for any federally regulated gun seller, which is pretty much everybody except for like if I sold you a gun personally, or if I sold like a family member a gun.
Okay, so to restate, your position is that shootings in the United States are not statistically significant, and that more restrictions would not be helpful, that the trying to remember the one that you said after that, it was mental health, deal with mental health, and then would be more helpful, and that the final point that you made was
the argument from the negative example. So it's like it's not. I think that there is a there, but it's harder to argue with because I don't think people have like kept track of those statistics, and something not happening is really hard to prove whether it happened or not. Yeah.
This I'm sort of proud that I get to say this because usually you're the one that says this. Sorry. Did I
think that's
cover your?
I think that's fairly fair.
Okay. Yeah. I don't think we're coming from the same premise to look at shootings in the United States and not see a statistically significant problem. I mean, it begs the question, what could reach the level of statistically significant problem if that doesn't? And it is just such an overwhelmingly pervasive issue that I almost don't even want to get down into the weeds on it because it has like this, I'm gonna like NRA style, like they pull you down in the weeds and beat you with experience. This is a problem, full stop. There's no two ways to cut it. What the status quo is not doing it. The other countries, industrialized democracies, do not have this. We can go Australia style. We can pick our favorite from them. We can pick our favorite from the UK, like whatever laws we think, but we need something, period. Like to say it's not a problem.
So what would you do with, not to poke at things, but what would you do if like Australia's like their gun violence was already on the decline before they did the buyback, like before they did their buyback? Like, would that change your opinion at all? Or
literally, like this is what it sounds like. Like we're in a boat that is actively sinking, and we're like, oh, we can't use this putty because it's not the best putty. Just use the putty. Like, I don't know. Yeah, buybacks? Sure. We'll take some of that. What do you guys got? Background checks. Fantastic. Some of that. Bullets are $30,000 a piece. Perfect. And then see what happens. Because when you are in such a bad spot, literally, there's only, everywhere you go, when you're in that deep, dark hole, every way is up from where we are at. That's how bad the situation is, in my view. So I'll give you the.
Well, I mean, we have 43 minutes. I think it's actually a better time to go ahead and transition into our meta, because I think we're kind of at that point where we've already dived. We're getting up into the, okay, what's our issues here?
Perfect.
I mean, because I guess I have 30 seconds, so I'll just say, I think where we're going to go with this partially is, I don't think that when you say pervasive, it's what do we mean by pervasive? Because like, it's like, I know that like, well, so, but you say everywhere, and it's like, I'm not going to walk outside of your apartment right now and be worried that someone's just going to open fire on me. Like, that would not be a logical risk assessment. So I mean, like, yeah, we see, we have to stop that. So moving on to be good, we are moving on into the meta narrative. So I actually, you know what, I will not start yet, because I will define our meta. Yeah. So I guess we should talk about like, what is the point and goal of gun control, and what do we gain or lose by moving the keystone? Yeah. What do we gain and lose by moving it one direction or another? Yeah. I think it'd probably be the most productive meta conversation. Sure. Do you want me to start, or should I? Oh no, please, do you want to start? Okay. I think I started. Yeah. Okay. So shootings meta. So gun control being the meta conversation that we're actually having here. So I think that gun control, like regulating dangerous things to a certain extent, needs to happen. Like, I think that background checks are a good thing. There are background checks in place. I don't necessarily know that artificially inflate, like putting an artificial floor on the market for guns or ammo rather, is necessarily a helpful or beneficial thing. Because at the end of the day, the reason why we were allowed to have guns as common civilians was because we were supposed to be able to have a check on the government. So we were supposed to have X amount of rights. Well, we were supposed to have all the rights that the government wasn't specifically given. And we were supposed to have the ability to say to the government, no, you can't take my rights.
That was the original.
And I would argue, and I would argue that that's,
or just after, like 1812 or.
But it's a principle. It's not for this time.
Yeah, and so
it is a check on power. And there's actually I forget the name of the stupid. It's one of those YouTube videos that like compares. Basically, they do a bunch of statistical analysis on like capabilities and such, and they're like, who would win a war, Russia or China? Like, right. They do a bunch of those things, and they did one on. Sounds fun. Yeah. Oh no, it's always fascinating and a great waste, a beautiful waste of 15 minutes. Yeah. And they actually did one on the U.S. versus an insurrection within the U.S. And they basically came down to whoever wins is whoever's the best supported by outside forces. So it's not in America, at least, it's not an unreasonable thing to say that at a certain point that the citizenry could say no to the government and that be a real thing, versus in like Venezuela 4 years ago when they were rebelling and they were having to shoot bottle rockets at fully armed. I think they were actually just cops, which is even more sad. But so that is my initial position.
Yeah, and mine would be that the problem, don't worry. I'm going to quote Warren Buffett, as I've done multiple times on this. I don't worry about the bad ideas. I worry about the good ones. Yes, it is a principle that the people can rise up against. I've made arguments on state legislature floors, not in state legislatures, but on the floor, to those effects. I understand it and I appreciate them. This is such a overwhelmingly dangerous problem, pervasive, as in it touches every part of the country. There is no part of the country that there isn't some elementary schools, grocery stores, massage parlors, California.
Do you think that
Georgia, all the way?
Do you think that would be solved, like that we wouldn't have mass murders if we didn't have guns?
I think that we can learn from the kids in the classroom that are doing better on the exam than we are. And we are getting the lowest grade on mass shootings in our classroom of industrialized democracies.
Okay.
We are the smartest. We are the richest. We are the coolest. Mm-hmm. We are captain of the football team. And by golly, we just can't stop, shooting ourselves in the foot on the weekend. Like it's so we can look, let's look what is working with these other kids, and what are they doing on this shooting exam? Oh, they have, more restrictions. Oh, okay, let's try that. They have some background checks. Okay, let's try that. Like, it's just common sense when you have such a problem that you would try to address it. And I don't even need to know, it's such a extreme problem. I don't need to know exactly how much it'll move the needle. Really, at this point, you could try just about anything, and at least in like do the background checks nationwide, and then try moving the restrictions in, and just get it to something more reasonable. It's just, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah. So
crazy.
Yeah. So I don't disagree that maybe I shouldn't say disagree. I could see that what you're saying would maybe fix our shooting problem. That being said, I don't think it would necessarily fix we have people trying to kill people on a large scale problem.
Wouldn't you take that though?
No, because it's just a difference. And I think that more people, and again, this is an argument from the negative, so I can't, you can either believe it or not, but I think that more people are deterred by people who are at a similar power level. Like, there's not very many people who have gone and tried to shoot up a military base.
Totally has happened.
It's happened, but it's not like, oh my gosh, somebody just massacred a bunch of people.
Usually they fire down. Usually socioeconomically, they go down the ladder. I don't even know if there's a usual, because we just have so many. It really comes from, I remember when I was in college, there was an Amish, they went shot up an Amish town.
Mm-hmm.
What? He had a nicer car than you? His phone, he had a cell phone that was nicer than you? No, he's an Amish guy. Why? It's
well, partial. I can answer. Do you want that to be answered?
Sure, yeah. Please.
So I don't know about in that particular instance, but there is a through line to a lot of these, and it is a nihilistic seeking of fame. They want to be the one who did the best.
Sure.
They also have almost universally had father issues. There are through lines.
There's no perfect dads.
No, there's not. There's not, but there are. What I'm saying is there are through lines to these. There's not usually a question of why. It was usually some massive philosophical and mental issues that culminated in these actions.
Yeah, Hollywood is full of people with a nihilistic want of fame.
Mm-hmm.
The difference is a gun. The difference is the gun.
The difference
and we have more
the
guns.
difference is the means by which they seek it. The same person could drive a car through a mall and achieve roughly the same results.
And we have a lot of that too. The gun thing is what is different.
Do we have a lot of people who are just running over pedestrians?
Not as many as we do with the guns.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Is like I
so
don't
we need
think
to work on the guns. We agree.
I don't think no. I'm saying the guns aren't the issue. They're just a means to it. And just because one person chooses to use a tool poorly does not mean that you should dampen the rights of other people significantly more people who choose to use the tool correctly.
America is not, as a whole, is using it poorly. We need some change. The status quo is not, again, I don't think it's tough when we don't agree on the premise. When I see a maybe the clearest issue in the United States today, and not seeing an issue there, like that's.
I'm not seeing it. I'm seeing.
Not statistically. I'm trying to.
It's not statistic. It's not. Yes, there is. It is an issue. It is an issue.
Okay.
But it's not an issue that is. It's not our biggest issue. It is definitely our most sensationalized issue, or sensational issue, I should maybe say.
Yeah,
but sensational.
Yeah, it is sensational.
It's our biggest. It's our worst. It's our most sensational.
It
issue.
Almost cheapens it because you're talking about human lives. Because sensational is like
But people are murdered every day in a bunch of different ways. Multiple people are murdered at the same time in multiple different ways every single day.
All around the world, no place has a gun issue. No place has gun issues like we do. No industrialized democracy does. No one comparable. Not even in the ballpark. It's so glaringly obvious. So to me, it's so glaringly obvious to me. So. With the last 5 minutes, the last third,
gosh, we went through that one quick.
Yeah, it went really fast.
Mm-hmm.
So, common ground, possible spots of agreement on gun control meta issues. It sounds like background checks seem to be on the same page with that, which is in line with the United States, which is in line with our current administration, which is in line with
our current laws on the books.
But it's not universal.
But define universal, like what
the entire
when you're asking. No, they are like every state. If you go to buy a gun, you will have a background check because you have to buy it from a federally licensed retailer.
But if you don't buy it that way, there's ways.
Which is only if you're doing person-to-person sales.
Okay, so then what is the background checks that they're talking about doing?
That's one of the issues is like. Most laws that are being purported as like we need to do this, they're already on the books.
Already on the books somewhere, or already on the books universally?
Universally. When they say universal background checks, what is generally meant is that I, Andrew, because I am not a federally licensed or federally registered gun owner, cannot sell you, Jeremy, my gun without doing a background check.
So that's fine. Why don't we do that?
What does the government have to do with me selling my gun to you?
It's a gun, therefore they have
to. So's a car. I can sell you my car. You can do more damage with your car than
we don't have the same issue with cars that we have with guns.
But I'm saying it is a same thing. France has a more of an issue with people driving into crowded markets than they do a shooting issue. But you don't see people taking away driver's licenses. London has a bigger stabbing issue and rape issue, but you don't see people taking away their. Well, they did try to take away their knives. They did try to take away knives. Yes.
And they're having a little uprising on their hands, particularly in London right now, over just that. So yeah, maybe that. I don't know, but I don't really need to have the answers for the UK and for France. The United States, we have a gun issue. We need to address it.
But I'm saying it's more. What I'm trying to point I'm trying to make, and maybe I'm not making it well, is that it's not a gun issue, it is a people issue. The guns are just the means to it. People would still be doing this sort of stuff just with other things. And you don't have this big and easier way to stop them.
Yeah. Again, we are not that different than the other industrialized democracies. The biggest difference starts with the Second Amendment and our attachment to it. And that has led to the gun laws that we have and the gun culture that we have.
Mm-hmm.
And that it has led to, I can't even, I'm beside myself to find the word to describe how big and bad the mass shootings in the United States are. I feel like I've used them all already, but yeah, it's totes bad, and we totally need something to deal with.
Well,
in my view,
yeah, that's fine. And I think that not having guns, we would be in a much worse situation. But again,
no one's saying not having guns. But
you are like,
no, it's a keystone. You're just moving it a couple degrees.
But I'm saying it's like the things that you're saying are already in place, but we are now rehashing the same ground.
We need more. The status quo is not getting it done. It's not getting it done. Now, when you have the mass shootings that we have, I mean, it was like the first thing we did as soon as we started opening up. As soon as COVID numbers started going down, we're like, oh, get out my gun and start go killing somebody. Like, it was like the first.
I mean, I wouldn't say the first thing. The Chicago murder rates have been pretty terrible for the last 5 years, and that didn't really slow down with COVID. But.
Yeah, they're good shots in my hometown.
Mm-hmm.
But the all joking aside, it's not really a joking matter. We need more background checks. We need more restrictions, just common sense, not taking everybody's guns away, not storming down people's houses and taking guns away, but like, there are guns in Australia, there are guns in the UK, there are guns in these other industrialized democracies. We'll still have guns. I will probably have a gun, but it's not, the status quo just can't continue. It's not tenable. It's untenable, in my view. You can have the last 30 seconds.
Honestly, I think I've said what I've said. I don't know if I've argued my point well, but
well, restate.
I think that there is. No, I can't do that with 10 seconds left to go.
Okay.
I think that the status quo is serving us better than you think it is, but it is hard to see that.
I tried to stop it.
You did, and I appreciate that. I think that it is hard to see that because the issue that we are talking about is such a hard issue to deal with as humans.
Then how do we not see this in other countries the way we see it here in the other similar countries?
So this is a place where
good rant place?
Well, no, this is a place where Andrew probably needs to do some research and come back to you on.
Okay.
Because the only statistic that I've seen recently about it is from the article you sent me, which I didn't have a chance to actually read or go look at the actual data that they were providing. I just saw the chart,
yeah.
And that doesn't really tell me much. So it's like, I want to grant you your premise. I just don't know that it's legitimate for me to grant you the premise. I suspect your premise may be correct.
Okay.
That's where I got
So maybe we'll do a part 1, part 2.
Part 1, part 2.
Part 2.
We will promise each other to actually research.
Yeah.
And I will try to have some better research. Stuff. Yeah. I will try to have some research from my side. We'll have some research from your side, and maybe we'll treat this like the business it ought to be.
Whoa.
I know.
Crazy talk.
I know. Both of our significant others have told us that it needs to be treated better.
Yeah. We're the worst.
We are.
So we are on to. Oh,
right.
We'll take like a second.
Did you do this when you were in martial arts? This is the thing that like they taught us in Taekwondo. It was the we're cooling down, and it was to make you stop and actually like expand your diaphragm. You go in, and you come back, breathe out, in, out, and then you repeat that.
We didn't do any of that.
Taekwondo is a stupid martial art. It's great.
He's a black belt in Taekwondo,
Yes.
and he just called it stupid.
Yeah, it is.
Well,
So-
I'm a yellow belt in Krav, and I.
You should agree with me.
No, I don't know anything about Taekwondo. A lot of kicking. Kicking's good.
Here's the thing. Taekwondo is great if you are looking for a recreational martial art.
Recreational martial art.
Yeah. So it's like as a self-defense strategy, I would say, yeah, some dude who's never been in a fight in his life and a like 8th Dan black belt in Taekwondo, yeah, the 8th Dan black belt's probably gonna win. But like as a style, most of the your garden variety put your kids into martial arts are not really effective fighting styles.
Sure.
Like they're just not.
Krav.
But you don't
I would put Krav up there as pretty effective.
Yeah, but you don't put your kid in a Krav.
But no,
class.
I know. I'm agreeing with you, and then a little addition.
Yeah. Well, so it's like if you want to go.
I don't know if I know any kids in Krav.
Yeah, I wouldn't put a kid in Krav. Like that's a terrible idea. Like you put a kid if let's say I've got yes. I will teach my kids how to shoot at an early age because I want them to respect the tool that is a gun. You have to understand this is a dangerous tool. We're now in rant territory. I'm just going to start it. Ranting.
You're going.
I was ranting. I was doing really well. Taekwondo's stupid.
Yeah. I won't say that.
Yeah, I'm saying it. You're allowed to say it because I'm saying it.
Well,
I can speak from experience.
Maybe if I had more experience, I would agree.
So if I'm basically little Andrew Jr. is getting bullied. I put him in Taekwondo because it's like a lot of what they teach is self-confidence and discipline and how to throw a punch. So if I put Johnny in Taekwondo, I'd probably actually put him in karate because that's more arm-based. Then when he's getting bullied, if it gets to the point where he just needs to sock the kid, he can sock the kid, right? Yeah. Actually, I probably should put him in boxing if that's the case. I'll put him in kickboxing.
I would. Kicking is a great deterrent, like a good just front kick right to the chest. It just create that space. Don't let them get within arm's reach.
Yeah, but if you're at all slow and they know what you're doing, you kick, they wrap the leg down on the knee, push you down, and then it's ground and pound.
Yeah, I don't. Most people don't know what they're doing, particularly if they're starting a fight.
That's fair. That's fair. I'm just saying, like, as a martial art, like, yes, for school ground level stuff, Taekwondo works. Yeah, it doesn't really work well for me because I'm not built for Taekwondo.
Sure.
Like, I probably should have been in judo, but
throwing people around.
I took a lot of that. Actually, judo, effective martial art.
Yeah.
I think Hapkido might be. I've never actually figured out what they do. Muay Thai is fairly effective.
Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu.
Pretty much anything that goes into MMA and then Krav Maga, which is in there's all right, we're going to have a fight that's sort of, I'm not going to say to a certain extent gentlemanly, like there are rules. And then there's Krav Maga, which is I will destroy you as quickly as I can.
Yeah,
I am walking away from this. You're not.
Well, I'm walking away from it. Everything else is
up to you.
Is fair game. How to play a no rules game. Game. That's Krav. And I do love Krav. I do miss Krav. Hopefully, I don't know. I'm actually
gyms are back open.
Yeah, I don't know if downtown is just because of density.
Yeah,
we're particularly
kind of hard to police like 25% or whatever it is.
Right. So, either way,
I've been working out. It's great, except for my buddy Lewis for our wedding was very, very generous, and he bought me, in addition to another rather nice gift, he bought me the Bowflex 2.5 to 50.2, like 52.5, and they just shipped today.
Oh, that's awesome! Oh man,
yes.
They were backlogged.
But now I'm going to the gyms are open. So I've been going to the gym, and now I'm in this quandary of, do I keep paying for my $30 gym membership, or do I switch to being back home again?
Do you have a bench?
I don't.
You have a pull-up bar though.
I do have a pull-up bar.
You can do a lot.
I can do everything I really need to do. There's just something about going to the gym.
Yeah.
Where it's just all right, now I'm going to go do this. And now I'm going to do this. And now I'm going to be slightly annoyed that this guy's like
Someone's
just,
on my bench.
bogarting like the squat rack, and I just need it for one exercise, but you've been there for 8, and you're clearly just like dicking around,
talking, and that guy, mayor of the gym.
I don't think I've had a lot of people talking.
What?
In my way, yeah.
Oh my god.
Well, it's probably because usually, the most of the time, I'll have a gym partner, and I'm probably that guy talking. I think I felt like we were usually pretty good about still working out, but at the end of the day, we were still talking.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, like I'm talking about the mayor of the gym. He's like chatting up anybody that goes by, that whole angle.
I'm there to work. That's why my headphones are on.
There you go. Mm-hmm. That's how you can tell who's there to work. Yeah. So Taekwondo rant. Was that your rant for the? Okay.
That was a pretty good rant. I mean, we can do multiple rants. It's just what we want to rant about. I see you have Biden CCP.
Yeah. So I think I don't know if it's in so much a rant, but I think it's important. And that we brought it important enough that it gets mentioned, the United States government met with the Chinese government, the CCP, Chinese Communist Party, and they met in Alaska, and it was very contentious right off the bat. A lot of grandstanding, sort of on both sides.
Sides, yeah. I think China got better shots fired than we did, but
you think so?
Yeah. Well, I was going to actually ask you: does the liberal sphere think that we look weak to other countries right now?
Not a big concern. Okay. This might seem we're pretty like. Oh, it seems to me that we're pretty aware that we're the big kid. Like we're the prettiest girl at the dance. We're the biggest, baddest, and we are. And now how quickly are we going to let that go? That is a concern. But I think, very, very smart Republicans and conservatives that I like are like, it is not in our best interest to have China as an enemy. Like we really being hard on China is not the smartest strategy.
Yeah. So I don't know if you saw it.
Friends close, enemies closer. Kind of thing.
Yeah. So there's a report. I don't know if it's out of the Pentagon or if it's out of one of these like strategic labs, but it was a bunch, at least one general, possibly more, who were saying that we'd lose a war to China right now. If we were to get into an actual shooting war with China, we'd lose.
How important is that?
Well, my understanding is most of our most of our foreign policy is force projection. So like the fact that like Hong Kong's basically been subsumed by China right now.
Yeah.
It's like, well, Trump should have been doing something about that. But like we don't, it's like China and Russia won't do as much stuff when it's like, they know that we'll put our foot down somewhere, right? But then when they don't think we're going to put our foot down, then they'll do things.
See Crimea.
Yeah, see Crimea. Yeah. See China's ever. I understand strategically, but maybe you can help me with this. How does China think that the South China Sea is their sovereign territory? I think I get from like I don't think they think we need this. Territory. Like I get we need this, but it's like if you look at a map, there's no reason that the South China Sea, which goes like super far down and is like surrounded by like 8 other countries, should be Chinese territory, or sovereign waters. Like I get the strategic importance of it, but it's like anyone with like taking 2 seconds to look at it should be like, no.
Yeah, I don't. To me, like you, at least professionally, we've both worked with a place, without naming that name. They worked with a very big company, the biggest in the world, Apple. Could anybody tell Apple what to do? If they're going to pay you when they want to pay you, they're going to charge you when they want to charge you.
That is true.
And that is China with the South China Sea. I don't think they don't even care. Like the idea that they don't have to that's mine. Like it's that because
they don't we patrol it. We don't let them just say it's theirs.
Yeah.
But I don't.
But they don't like us patrolling it.
Yeah.
So they say it's theirs. Well, what do you have to say that's here? Well, why are you patrolling it? It's definitely not yours. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's.
But we're the ones who are like, I don't think you're making the Chinese argument, but we're the ones who are like, well, no, you don't get to control it. All these other countries get to control it. But I can also see from like a just straight up power politic move like us. But I mean, we patrol everywhere. Like at the end of the day, the U.S.
That can look imperialistic.
It can look imperialistic. We're also the only country that has the means to police the oceans to a certain extent. We also fund like most of the UN. So
yeah, so we're not in awesome ground either, but they're not gonna. I think our position is stronger than theirs, and you can make arguments that their position is stronger, certainly, but I don't think that they're thinking about, oh, we have a right to this for X, Y, and Z reasons. Like, no, I think it's just. But I think that we need to. I think that China is the upstart. So we need to, and we can't have an antagonistic relationship with them, or we shouldn't have an antagonistic relationship with them. It serves us better if we don't, but South Korea is doing a really good job of like, oh man, you're great. You're big and strong. Yeah, cool. Yeah, let's deal together. Cool. Like they're slaying that. Like just like not coming off, no ego. You know what I mean? And I think that Moon, I think is the president's name there in South Korea, doing a great job of that. The brokered the North Korea and Trump thing.
Do you think that, I mean, good on him. Do you think that that's partially because we have because the U.S. military is backing South Korea and Japan, that Japan and South Korea are comfortable dealing with China? Or at least let's keep Japan out of it. Do you think South Korea, because we have several significant military bases there?
Yeah, I'm saying it more as a strategy, an angle, attack. Like they are just doing it so much smoother, but because we're, I don't know exactly why, but we just have a different feeling here. We want to see our government go at China. And it's just this big puff up chest, drunken bar fight vibe. And
I don't think that's why we're doing that.
I hope not, but
yeah,
it makes about as much sense.
Yeah. So I think it's at least from the conservative point of view on that one.
Yeah.
I think it's more of we have a better way of doing life, and we see your way of doing life as oppressive and to a certain extent evil. See weaker Muslims. And so it's the same kind of reason why we went to a certain extent. Well, we went and fought the Nazis because they attacked us, which was done with them. But the after action report reasons for fighting the Nazis is kind of the same way with at least current day CCP. So it's the reason why at least conservatives have a strong they are the enemy is because they are an ideological opponent whose way of life tends to lead to more human suffering. And so this is an area where, when I talk about meekness, this would be an area where meekness comes into play. We have the strength. So the proper use of strength there is to push back on what is a oppressive regime, right? Or at least to contain that, which is why we patrol the South China Sea. So it means that the Philippines, who can't stand up to China if China wants to do anything without us backing it, or Japan or South Korea or any of the other island nations there, and to a certain extent Australia, they can't push back against China if they're not but because America to a certain extent has their back. And so I think that's where I would disagree. It's not on the attitude of why we need to be at least not chummy with China, but we need to be the big kid on the playground who doesn't let the other big kids pick on the small kids.
Yeah, and I think I don't disagree with any of that. I would just encourage us to do it smarter. The biggest kid can also probably make friends with the second biggest and third biggest kid.
Yeah,
easier than and even he doesn't have to think that he could think the second biggest kid is a bad kid. But
see, I guess with that, I agree with that, and I think that would be the better strategy. But I think that's the strategy we tried when we opened up like that was the idea behind opening up China, was we're like, oh, if we're buddies with the other big kid, maybe the other big kid will be like us. And I don't think that is playing out, because I think the other big kid wants to eat more steaks and become the biggest kid.
Yeah, no, and I mean, real talk, they're very likely, China very likely will overtake the United States at some point.
Potentially.
It's likely to happen. It's more likely to happen than not to happen. And so I would like to see that not happen in our lifetime. And that is a tall order right now.
Yeah.
And I think being smarter about it.
I don't think.
Or more strategic.
I guess I don't mind.
Put Jocko in charge of it. He would
remind me I have a Jocko interview you may not have access to. So we have 50 minutes. I will let you finish because I think I started 2 of our segments.
Did you? Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, but you didn't really you had a Taekwondo rant. So
hey, I get to rant about whatever the fuck.
Hey, absolutely. You used your
I mean, the other rant I want to do is I'm stealing it.
No, go, please. I don't have it.
I'm really mad that this has not been reported on. There was in New York, I believe it was in New York, there was an elderly, mentally ill man who was set on fire by 2 teens, and it's not being reported about. And I think that is a travesty.
Good God. I mean, was it a hate crime, or was it just ageism? Or
I think it was we don't know if it's a hate crime yet, but it was really annoying. It was probably race motivated, but no one's talking about it because it was 2 black kids who burned a white guy and then told him, saying it was 2 white guys who did it. And this is not being reported at all.
Oh my God.
Like, I feel like this is a national news story and it is not being reported.
Yeah.
So maybe not the best thing to end on.
Yeah.
But the world's a terrible place, full of sorrow and tremulous. If you're a Christian, Jesus will make it better, is making it better. If you're a Buddhist,
life is suffering, the universe is chaos, but you're great.
There you go. Do you have stuff in there?
Just enough.
Okay. Well, we had several political conversations. We were friends before.
Friends during?
And friends after. Cheers, buddy.
Welcome to Friendly Argument with J. Andrew Bernard and Jeremy Jones.
Let's do this. New stuff. All the tangents.
Some politics. Booze.
Some more politics.
Stuff about Kansas. And lots of cheer scenes.
Friendly Argument is a podcast showcasing conversations that seek common ground across the aisle of American politics, as well as a few laughs. We hope you guys enjoy, and thanks for watching.